Township Supervisors to order. Please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Correction, it's August.
August, thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And why I'm still stuck in July. I'd like to acknowledge the declaration of quorum. And we will start off with public comment. I don't see that anybody's on the agenda specifically, so if anybody has any public comment, please come to the podium. 3 minutes, please. And I would like to have a hard stop at 7 o'clock tonight. It's been a long day, so keep in mind we want to keep things moving this evening. Thank you. Can you come to the podium, name and address, please?
Yeah, my name is Bill Shoemaker, 1698 Hook Road. And I'd just like to know who I could talk to or what, that road is getting so grown up there. Now, a fellow did come out through last week and mowed some of it on the banks and stuff. But it's getting so overgrown and the trees and stuff's coming out. Now, who do we talk to or have some work done on that?
And thank you, Mr. Shoemaker. We will, Chris, can you put that on your list? Maybe get out there and boom over and try to get that clip back.
What did he say?
The brush on Huff Road
And also the trees hanging all over.
and the trees.
Up through there, if there's a camper or a wagon, in fact, a buddy of mine bought a
That
wagon.
keeps my kinky
back from
hair
here
dry.
And it busting the racks.
Yep, I know what you're talking about. I was plowing snow last winter and I think it almost got ate up by ate the truck up there. So yeah, I know where you're coming from. Thank you. Anybody else, public comment?
Mark Kudak, 929 Porters Road. I was trying to understand the water company and one of the expenses. I guess there's people that go out there mostly every day to do a reading on the meter. Is that right?
Correct.
What do they do? What's their job? What do they do when they go out there? They just look at the meter and they write it down? Or what's their responsibilities?
Yeah, the responsibilities would be, they collect a water sample out of the meter, out of the meter pit. And they go up and they would test that sample for chlorine residual.
Okay.
They record a flow reading and check to make sure that all the pumps and equipment are operating as needed.
Okay, so is there, I guess there's no way, so we have any technology out there that would allow us not to have to go out there every day where a meter, we have something that would be able to read stuff and provide that information remotely versus.
There's online analyzers out there, but unfortunately the DEP requires a daily visual inspection.
So is the residents wouldn't be able to do it because you have that where do they do the reading, in the building there on the well, or they go back to Jackson?
No, that all occurs there at the well.
Is that something a resident there could do that would be saving money there, because it's a lot of money, right? It's like 40%.
Yeah, I believe we put that out there before, but the operator has to train the person to do that. They actually have to be certified to take those readings.
Okay.
So anybody that would sign up to do that would have to get certified.
So it's possible, right?
It's possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing was on the rail trail. We were here, I think the chairman had some concern about the deed. Other people talked about the deed. Is there some restriction on the rail trail? And I know we talked about it. I'm here mostly every meetings, and then construction all of a sudden started. We had a lot of trees that were built up, and I was like, well, it didn't go in front of the zoning board. There wasn't a discussion about, so I asked for all the zoning hearing information and stuff. So I'm not sure, is that following the process on making sure we're following the zoning and getting hearings and making sure people have some input on this land that we're developing here for the rail trail?
Yeah, good question. We are waiting for the deed. I believe the solicitor has been, tasked with that. I'm not sure where he is on that.
Well, isn't that a concern, right? Because
Mhm.
Luxman's Farm had something where the deed restricted it, they did the work, or someone had a business for 20 years and they required them to shut it down because there was a deed restriction. Do you have any concerns that there are deed restrictions? We're putting this in and we might be in trouble legally?
I don't have any, but again, I think before step A is to get the deed, step B is to move from there, so.
But would the deed have come out during the hearing, or when does the deed come out for the zoning board, do you know?
May I ask the question? Judy,
Sure.
do you have, the deed? The deed? I don't see it here.
Is it in that stuff? You guys all should just see.
No, that's the authority, and has nothing to do with zoning. I'll address that.
If I can perhaps answer, or try to answer Mr. Dudek's questions. The current work that's being done, not only on the township's property, but others, is pursuant to a DEP permit. So I don't think there's an issue about whether that work is violative of deed restrictions. The next issue has to do with the potential gifting of the property to the Rail Trail Authority. So we just received a request from the Rail Trail Authority to gift the property to them. So as part and parcel of that, I've been in contact with their solicitor, Scott Reverson. We are going to propose an agreement of sale to the Rail Trail Authority for $1. Whether that transaction goes to the planning commission, it is as a matter of the agenda tonight, whether to send that to the planning commission for the recommendations, which I think is a good idea since it's public property, belongs to the township. It's proposed to be gifted to the Rail Trail Authority for public use. So, obviously the public has an input in that process. So,
Mr. Schultz? Did they ask for all 12 acres or just 5?
yeah, I didn't understand them to ask for anything but what we have.
Because their requirements are at least 5 acres. So I was just wondering if a subdivision was gonna be. I'm just curious.
That was not proposed by the Rail Trail Authority.
Okay.
If the township wants to give them less than the whole, then, we need to discuss that. There isn't, there's limited access, so, any subdivision would have to account for access. There's one access right now. So,
Okay, thank you.
Any other public comment?
Pat Perry, 6231 Hawk Road. I'm here to talk about a situation. Matt and Tim assured Terry once that the Terry and Ross, who filled out the proper township volunteer forms well in advance, would be given full consideration for the appointment to the rec board to fill the vacant spot. Vicki Seneff never filled out the township volunteer form. She dated her away by just writing a note instead of the proper procedure that the township manager Bart had said appointees have to fill out. What the heck? Special privileges? She was also appointed as an alternate, not having filled out the required forms, which caused the immediate resignation of Nick Gentle. And then you appointed her to the board, still ignoring the fact she had initially never filled out the proper forms, choosing her over and above other residents who did follow the proper procedure and well before Vicki. She blindsided the rec board, chair and vice chair by not even having the courtesy of letting them know before you appointed Vicky, causing the immediate resignation of the chair, Tara Wenzel, second person to resign from this board because of your actions. Matt met with Vicky Seneff at Vicky's private residence. We know this because Matt himself told us at our Goofies last meeting that he was meeting Vicky at her home. So secret meetings by the very person, Vicky, who accused Matt of having secret meetings with our supposed group, despite that our meetings were being held in public at Township Building and Goofies. Matt's meetings at the private residence of Vicky Seneff are the true optics of secret meetings, but it must be okay to break the township rules and for Vicky and Matt to have these meetings at her private residence. And then voila, Vicky Seneff gets appointed to the rec board, over and above others who followed legally out of the township forms. So you know this is not about sour grapes, I want you to understand that. We were the troublemaker group who first stood up to the board of supervisors several years ago. We were chastised for doing so by some community attendees. We wanted transparency, that's all, especially about the ledger and the financial disputed matters, which still have never been resolved. After a couple of years, Matt reached out his olive branch to me, tried to have a meeting of the minds. We agreed and thought this was an honest attempt for harmony and true transparency. We fell for it. Now he's offering the same olive branch to our replacement group, who have been relentless in getting answers we weren't able to get. Good for them. I'm just saying, beware of olive branches, everyone. We've learned the hard way. The handling of the rec board situation is a perfect example of how things really work, regardless of deceptive olive branch reach outs and ignored promises made by supervisors.
Thank you, Pat. Is there anybody else?
Hello, my name is Vicky Seneff. I live at 6118 Danner Drive, Springfield. First, I didn't come up here, I was already planning to come up here about something else, but I'll address what she said for me. I've never met with Matt Bollinger at my personal residence, ever. So I'm sorry if you told this. But I, excuse me, I never met with Mr. Bollinger at my personal residence. And I think that I can call on Barb and Judy, who work in the office, to say, I did follow the right criteria, filled out several pieces of paperwork, contacted them back to make sure that I was doing everything the right way. So we'll let that go to that. The reason why I wanted to come up was about the rebate for the taxes. I just, number one, wanted to let anybody in our community know that if you are a senior citizen and you are looking to have the rebate done, if you go to the senior center in Spring Grove, they do help you fill it out, and if you can get your taxes done there too. But I kind of wanted to bring this up to the board again because we did get the firemen, which I think is awesome. We got them their rebate, so I'd like to put it back on the books, because that was last year when we talked about if you qualified for this, that the residents, especially our elderly residents, could then get a rebate from the township. So just to remind anybody, if they are gonna apply for next year, which I'm working on a team of people that I wanted to know if before a township meeting, we could have some people here, if people did need help to fill out the forms. I was gonna see if the office could help us get a couple books, and we would bring them next year when they're ready to start doing it, to help assist people to fill out the forms so they could get some of their taxes back. And also to ask the board if they would reconsider bringing it up again, because it was put on the table for further discussion. So that's what I was just asking, if we could look at this again, since we got the firemen kind of all squared away. So, thank you.
What position of the board on that?
No, agree.
Okay, Paul?
Agreeing with.
With,
We're having a meeting beforehand to help them fill out these forms for senior citizens.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, I think so. Yep. Thank you, Vicky.
Hernan Castillo, 6826 Cannery Court. I helped
think 2 points to make, hopefully within time. I think the first one is that I'll pick up on a thread that I think is coming along. I think, Vicky brings up a great point, right, about the prior idea that we had that was tabled and then sort of disappeared. Great that you reminded us. It sounds like people are in agreement with it. That's great. There have been a number of proposals, and I showed up today to see the agenda, and I see that a couple of them, which I actually don't support, the idea of having some rules of conduct, etc. I don't think we need that. It's not kindergarten. It's passed by resolution. I think that those rules are very vague. But regardless of that, we don't have a place where we can see this stuff, everything that is on the agenda, everything that is being considered, where it's all reliably in one place on the website. And it would be really nice to be able to go to the website, independently of the agenda, see what things are being considered. There's stuff on Mr. Schultz's plate, there's stuff that has been brought up at various times. Sometimes it gets tabled and then it doesn't go anywhere. Sometimes it comes up later. It's very difficult as a regular citizen just looking at this stuff and knowing what's going to be on the agenda next. And we would like to provide input, and there's really, unless we know and predict what's on the agenda, it's very hard to provide that input. So it would be really nice if it was all future agenda items, everything that has been tabled, everything that Mr. Schultz is working on, everything that has been proposed. It would be nice if it sat on one place on the website. And it would actually help develop the agenda for the next meetings. That way you can decide what things should be brought up and what things don't have to be brought up. Anyway, that's just one thought. I would love for you guys to consider it. The other thought I had is that we really should have, we don't need a resolution. I think it would be nice if you guys proposed a set of ground rules for how we conduct this meeting. I think a couple of things that have occurred. At the last meeting, I was called out by name. Pretty outrageous things were said about me by name. And that's not allowed as I understand it, right? That's not supposed to happen. But further, that's not written down anywhere. Again, we don't need a resolution. I think we just need some basic rules that govern this. How much time do we get? What happens if we don't use all of our time in a single, can we split our time? Are we allowed to reserve some time for later? Should we be allowed, and I think we should be, allowed to respond when we are mentioned by name? That's widely used in many settings. If we're mentioned by name, we should be allowed to respond. Again, as a general set of rules, we don't need a resolution. A general set of rules would be really helpful. Thank you.
Matt, may I'm sorry, I didn't want to cut you off.
Go ahead.
As to the pending agenda items, if it's a draft, it's confidential. And that's what I've learned through the RTK process. That if you file an RTK for a draft, they'll deny you and they'll win. Drafts are considered confidential. It also, to me, in my mind, I'm sorry about that, it's the only one I got. It does conflict somewhat with the Sunshine Act, which it says that people should be able to comment on pending action that the board might take. So I would ask that the board consider not putting things in draft form or attorney-client privilege form, so that we can allow the residents, the taxpayers, to see everything before we take action. Because if you take something on a draft form, you don't know about it until it's done. So on that, for example, the minutes, right here across the top, draft. Until they're voted on and approved, you don't know what's in here, and technically, we don't have to show it to you. But I don't agree with that.
May I ask a follow-up question?
As far
I
as
will make it very quick. who is being protected by that attorney-client privilege? If it is the three of you, you three can waive that right, as I understand it.
The privilege is the Board of Supervisors. We should be able to waive that right. But that's different than a draft. The draft is not considered well, I don't know, maybe the attorney should answer that.
You gonna say something?
Yeah, that's a lot, you said a lot in 3 minutes, so it's a lot to consider. But, yeah, do you wanna respond to that?
So you'll see tonight that there are two resolutions on the agenda, both of which were publicly shared in advance of the meeting. So my own practice is this: if I'm directed by the board to prepare something that is common sense, like both of these resolutions are for tonight, then absolutely it should be made public. If I prepare a resolution that I want their input on before it gets public, right? Because I may write something that they don't agree with. That is a process that is not open to the public, only because we have to get our work done. But prior to a resolution being adopted by the board, that is after it's been through the drafting process and the board has had a chance to comment, it's at that point that it should become public. So, the minutes are kind of a strange animal because, again, as we've had here before, we have proposed minutes and then there's amendments to those. So, you know, the board has to have an opportunity before the public to deal with that. And the way we deal with it here is we do it we do the amendments of the minutes publicly like that, not in a draft form. So it just happens that way. Other attorney-client privilege matters are simply that. So it has to be privileged. It protects the Board of Supervisors. The board is the only party that can waive it. I can't waive it. So, I hope that answers that.
No, I totally get it, yes.
So how do we go about waiving it, Mr. Schultz?
Well, it's dependent on each case. So, I don't think you waive it generally, so that wouldn't be good. But if there's a particular issue that you want to waive the attorney-client privilege for and permit me to disseminate otherwise attorney-client privilege stuff, the board has to vote on it. But it's case by case.
Can I ask something?
When you say individually or just, if it's somewhat about Paul, and it's a document related to Paul can waive that, the board doesn't all collectively have to do that?
That matter is being litigated right now, as you know, Mr. Hudak, so I'm not gonna respond to that.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I ask something? I'm very naive about this sort of thing, but all the timber that's being cut on, is that on private land where they're putting a place where people can run and walk and bicycle and all that stuff? And what are they doing with all that timber? And if somebody's getting paid for that timber, is it the farmer? Is it the township? Or is it somebody else? Because a lot of timber has been cut down for a pathway, I thought.
If you kind of sit tight, that should all come within the
Good.
report
Oh,
from.
I mean, I was just beating myself up. Oh, I'm sorry.
Peg Moulton will give a report on that.
Oh, sure,
If after she gives her report, you still have questions, you would be
sure.
allowed to ask.
I just wanted to know if the township was getting the money for the timber or the farmer that
Well,
gave the land,
If
or?
we are, they haven't told me.
I bless you, yes, okay, thank you.
Any additional public comment this evening? Okay, we're gonna move into the meeting. We're gonna take things way out of order tonight to make sure we get some important things done. We're actually gonna start with Supervisor King. Page 3.
Page 3 of your agenda, bottom of the page, first item. I make a motion that the Heidelberg Water Company customers be charged effective the next billing quarter, a service fee of $120 per quarter, and a fee of $11 per 1,000 gallons over 5,000 gallons per quarter.
Do I hear a second on that motion? I'll second that motion. All those in favor?
These gentlemen have questions.
Yeah, yeah.
So you're putting this water committee together, why didn't you wait until they have a chance to look at it to see before you raise it? Like, why didn't, it sounds like they're interested in it, wait a couple months until they recommend to raise the rate, do you think that's better, or? Cause there's some, right, there's some things in here, but there's no real, you said we lost money last meeting, but we don't, I mean, Barb hasn't come back, and I just think it's better to wait.
Well, we're losing money,
Yeah. That's
so
true.
if you wait, and the figures were gone over in the last meeting, and I still have those spreadsheets, if anybody's interested in the invoices. There was just one resident that contacted me to look at the information.
Renee?
I have the same comment, but I will add that it would help build credibility with the committee, right, if you guys deferred on
Yeah.
that decision.
I agree, I kinda thought that myself, but I actually kinda think that the rate needs to be more than that. That's where, that I kinda thought it was gonna go higher than that yet, so.
Definitely.
But I don't wanna raise it twice, but, okay, I'll rescind my second to that. Paul, can you agree that should be taken up with the?
Well, if it doesn't pass tonight, I guess so.
Okay. So you agree to disagree, thank you. All right. Not unless Tim was gonna second,
No.
re-second, okay. All right.
Matt?
Yes, ma'am?
I'd just like to make a point that I did call you, Mr. King, and left you a voicemail and you never returned my call.
I never got it. Check with me on the phone number.
Okay, keep going, Paul.
All right, the next 7 items are amendments to the township ordinance. So I'm gonna make one motion that the amendments to the township ordinance 2201 be forwarded to the solicitor for him to work on the wording and represent to the Board of Supervisors.
Let me see here.
That takes you down to the, other than to the last one. So it's the one on the bottom of page 3, and then the next 6 circles on page 4.
There was one item in here that I wasn't quite sure of.
Well, when he comes back with them, you can vote against it then. This is just to table it to refer it to the solicitor.
All right, I'll second it. Any further discussion before we vote? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. passes. Okay, next one, Paul.
So the parking lot for the Rails to Trails, I just wanted it to go before the planning commission and the zoning board if they have jurisdiction over it. I believe Mr. Schultes indicated that would be a good idea, so I hope the board will agree. I make the motion that, once the deal is finalized, that the parking lot, be referred to the planning commission.
Can I ask that you do it before?
Before the deal is struck?
Right, I guess my view is, I don't wanna work on a deal that if the planning commission has specific objections to, and that comes back to the board, then we should know that before we sign a contract with the rail trail authority.
All right, can I withdraw my motion and make another one?
Sure.
Thank you.
But I would say also, Paul, that the planning commission is the right group, not the Senate.
All right, I would like to, make a motion that the parking lot for the Rails to Trails be referred to the planning commission at their next meeting.
Second. Any further discussion before we vote?
Ms. Indy?
Is a public entity or municipality required to go before the planning commission for permitted use?
I can address that too in my presentation. I think there's a little confusion about the authority versus the township. And the issue is the gifting of the land. Once the land is gifted to the authority does not have to go through planning there. I can talk about it in my presentation. Explain it a little bit.
The issue before the planning commission is, the way I see it, is that the township received a request from the authority. Planning commission should weigh in on whether that's a good idea, since it's gonna be dedicated to public use.
Yes.
For this specific purpose. Planning commission is the right organization to advise the board on that.
Okay.
That's my view.
And there are, requirements for parking lots in the township. So, whether they're owned by another entity or the municipality or not.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Is that it, Paul?
That's it.
All right, now we'll go back here to the beginning. Make a motion, we approve the July Board of Supervisors meeting minutes.
I'm not. Second. Discussion. I'd like to make an amendment to the minutes, last paragraph.
Yeah.
He got the minutes from filing an RTK.
Okay. You guys get that?
You wanna vote on it?
So Supervisor King noted that that he never received the minutes from the rec board meeting. He then proceeded to pass them out to the board.
He got the minutes.
And he got the minutes from a right to know request.
Right.
Fair enough. I'll second that amendment. Anything else, Paul?
No.
Okay, anything, Tim?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes. Okay, item number 6, communication. Archery permits became available on the 1st of August at the township building for 2024-2025 season. You have to be a resident, and they are available on a first come, first served basis. And public safety. Go ahead, Chris. Expeditiously, please.
I realized as the meeting was starting that your hard copy of the fire report is incorrect. Somehow I got you January's printed out again when I used July. I ran upstairs, the computer upstairs is froze up. So I have it here digitally and I will provide it to you in hard copy as soon as I can. For the month of July, 26 calls, 14 in Heidelberg, 1 in Jackson, 1 in West Manheim, 4 in North Cadores, 1 Cadores, 2 in Spring Grove, 3 in Carroll County. That took us to 126 for the year. We had 7 members for maintenance night for 14 man hours. 2 of us attended a boat operation class with the county ATR team on Lake Marburg for a total of 10 hours. And we've had at least 10 members out for 4 hours each on the boat for a total of 40 man hours. Your fuel report is included. Engine 1 was out 14 times, engine 2 was out 7 times, the brush was out 5, the utility was out 7. The Polaris didn't have any calls, and you will note boat 53 did not have any calls. The boat is in service. We placed the boat in service on the 5th. We were dispatched for 1 high-risk structure fire, 6 residential, 2 medical assists, 1 MVA with entrapment, 6 with injuries, 2 with no injuries, 1 wire call, 1 landing zone, 3 brush fires, 2 transfers, 1 investigation outside, and we were canceled en route canceled en route 3 times, canceled prior to response twice, and we went to work 5 times. I have listed here storm detail 1. 2 weeks ago when we had all the trees blown down and such, we had no less than 11 dispatches during that night. We just made it 1 call for storm detail and gave everybody credit for the call that was here. Looking at our kitchen, our new floor is in place, the new appliances are gonna be delivered tomorrow. The only thing that then is left is get the dishwasher reinstalled, and within the month, this floor will look like the kitchen floor. We're getting this floor redone. And for the fire company, I believe that's about it. Chief Lash gave me a couple things here. Dave Tome Memorial Picnic will be on October 23rd from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. That'll be at the Little Creek Park in Jackson Township. The cell tower at the substation is moving along the permits and plans. And construction on the new headquarters is continuing on also with the weather cooperating so far. That's all I have.
Hey, probably keep it, Chris, for your planning, or the zoning activity report.
Zoning activity, we had 3 permit applications, issued 2 building permits, 1 zoning permit, and collected $210. We also got a request from Yazoo Mills for an additional 90 days for their plan to be approved, and that would require you all's approval.
Make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
No.
Motion passes. Yes is 1 no. You wanna go to code?
6 notice of violations were sent certified, 1 still not delivered, still post office will pick up. For the most part, everybody's starting to work to get their things done.
Okay, let's see, now we're down to finance. Motion to approve July's treasurer's report. I make that motion.
Second.
Discussion?
Go ahead, Paul.
So, I noticed on the July's treasurer's report, we spent 33,000 out of the COVID, but when I checked the bills paid report, I don't know what 33,000 you're talking about. It's usually been indicated on the bills paid report as, COVID funds. So, I just asked that the manager,
Oh, if you look at page 2 in the bill pay report, the second one from the bottom shows you the 33,000, and it specifically says out of the COVID relief funds.
bottom of page 2.
Yeah, page 2 of your check detail report, your bill paid report. So if you go to the bottom of page 2, it's the second one from the bottom. Check number 1083 to Stevenson Equipment, out of the COVID fund.
All right, thank you.
Motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Motion to accept the July bills paid report. I make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
No.
Motion passes. Accept the July office maintenance and activity report. Make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
No.
Motion passes. Accept the right to know request report. I think we need to read through that if you all have that. Do we need a motion or we can just acknowledge we accept it?
Motion to accept.
Make that motion.
Second.
Discussion?
Go ahead.
The right to know report that we're voting on tonight says June and July. In the minutes that we just approved on page 3, it said that the June report passed 3-0. So I don't know why we have June on here again.
That's probably my mistake.
Just a mistake, okay, so it should just read July. Okay, there's a motion and a second, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Highways, roads and streets, looks like if anybody needs any explanation there, we'll do it, but we'll keep moving. Accept the report from
Wait a minute,
Anthony.
hold it.
Yep.
The last item in the roads is a
Oh, we
motion.
have a motion. Okay, motion authorizing the proper officers of the township to enter into an agreement with PennDOT for winter maintenance services for a total project cost of $43,498.40. I make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Oh, go ahead.
Could we have more specifics as to what that money's going to?
That's plowing and salt.
Plowing. So Pennsylvania Highway Department's gonna help us with plowing.
No, we have, we signed up for the, winter maintenance PennDOT highway program or whatever, where we accept to plow some of the state highways in exchange for that lump sum payment.
Okay, great.
Okay, go ahead, Chris.
We maintain every road in the township in the snow except York Road, even the state roads.
So this is basically a bidding process that you get our supplies cheaper from bidding with the town, with the.
The state reimburses us this amount of money for taking care of their records.
Oh,
So they pay us.
It's income.
So if we have an easy winter, we make out good. If we have a hard winter, we don't make out so good. But that bill usually pays for the winter road maintenance for the local roads.
Thank you.
Okay, made that motion, was there a second? We had a second, was that Tim?
Yeah, second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. And down to item number 12, accept the report from Anthony Lane, engineer from CS Davidson. Make that motion to accept his report.
Second.
Second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Question,
Yes.
you just did number 12,
Yes.
on our agendas it says nothing to report.
I just see that Anthony Lane somewhere.
Mine says nothing to report.
Yeah.
Some of us have it and some of us don't. Yeah, so we have.
Oh, I saw it online, it said Anthony, that Anthony
Oh,
was online.
okay. Okay. Well, it was an engineer's report, we just accepted it. Anything else? Item 13, go ahead and report on the rail trail. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Peg Moulton. I'm the Heidelberg Township representative for the Hanover Trolley Trail. So we don't call it rails to trails, that's kind of a generic name. This project is specifically called the Hanover Trolley Trail. It is the current project of the York County Rail Trail Authority. And it is developing the trail which will be extended from Gitz Run Road, eventually connecting with the part in Spring Grove Borough, which is already completed. So I have the big map I bought today, just like always. I know you can't see it very well from back there, so I will stay behind after the meeting in the essence of time to answer specific questions. But I did want to address a few of the points that came up tonight with some of the questions. And I would recommend that anybody that has questions about who's in charge, who owns it, et cetera. Now, the development of the parking lot obviously needs to go to planning, but the trail itself is a project by the York County Rail Trail Authority. This current newsletter, which I have several copies of if anybody needs it, starts out on the very front page and explains specifically who builds York County rail trails. So the authority was created in the 90s to develop the Heritage Rail Trail, which is already a completed trail going from New Freedom to York City. That's been completed and operational for ever since I've lived here in Heidelberg Township. Once the rail trail is developed in York County, and it's not just these two, there's trails all over York County, but once they're completed, being constructed, they get turned over for management and operation to county parks. The County Parks and Recreation Department manages and runs and controls and does all of those administrative duties. So that's the kind of timeline. Now, where we are with the Hanover Trolley Trail is we're in phase 1 of the construction that is starting with the restoration of Oil Creek. Extremely important aspect to this. The Oil Creek area between Gitz Run Road and Jacobs Mill Road was completely just ruined by years and years of erosion, use of the trains running, sediment, sedimentation. So before the rail trail itself, the Hanover Trolley Trail itself could be constructed, the Oil Creek area has to be restored. Now, the Rail Trail Authority is an incredible operation with grant writing and all these agencies that are involved with funding, private, public, federal, state, local, county funding, not in Heidelberg Township, but they're getting grants from DEP and all kinds of different entities, and as well as private foundations. So the Wareheims in our township have donated a lot of money towards it. I am happy to tell you that I just learned, I went out on a walk through the progress a month ago, and I went out again last week. It's an incredible amount of progress in Oil Creek restoration that period of time. Land Studies is the contractor that's doing the design work and also overseeing the construction. So phase 1 was bid out and awarded to AARC, and Land Studies is there supervising the plan, the design. And I'm learning so much about the process. Now, that pile of trees that you are referring to, that you're seeing from 116, you can see to the right hand, a huge, gigantic pile of trees. That's not timber. That's not being sold. Nobody's making money off of that. That is organic material that's being stockpiled to be reused in the restoration of Oil Creek. Now remember, we're going all the way from where you're seeing that stockpile all the way out to Jacobs Mill Road. And phase 2 will continue to Jacobs Mill Road. And in the process of the Oil Creek restoration, there's a lot of removal that has to take place. And then filling it in with boulders and plantings and everything. It's an incredible process. $1.8 million project, which is all paid for. And by the way, I just learned that phase 2 has already been paid for. I thought, well, wouldn't it be neat if they could just keep going, because they're making tremendous progress. Unfortunately, they have to bid separately phase 2, because it's a separate part of the project. The reason it was broken up into phase 1 and phase 2 was we didn't have funding for the entire thing at the time, and they didn't want to wait to get started until all the funding was achieved. There's also a stockpile of soil, and that is being worked out with the Wareheim on their farm. So if you're looking straight across 116 and you look beyond the stockpile of those trees, that's the Wareheim property. That soil that's being stockpiled is extremely rich with legacy nutrients. That's what they call it. I learned that's what they're referring to. The sedimentation, the nutrients that are being removed to redirect Oil Creek is full of nutrients, and the farmers really want that. It's valuable, but they don't want to spread it until after they've harvested the crop that's there right now. So that is going to be repurposed under an agreement with Wareheim. So graciously given us permission to tie from Gitz Run Road down the trolley line that you can see where the overhead lines are from Med-Ed, and then we're going to go down, and I'll show you where this is on the map. We're going to go down the edge of the Wareheim property with the rail trail, and then connect over to where the tracks were removed in the Oil Creek restoration. So, $1.8 million project is well underway. Actually I know that we're going to try to invite some supervisors to come out for a personal tour in the very near future. If you can do it, I would highly recommend that you do it. Every time I've gone, I'm just so excited about the progress. There's actually, you can see the Oil Creek's actually ebbing and flowing in its natural flow from the water that's flowing down from Gitz Run Road all the way towards Jacobs Mill. It's back to where it should be a serpentine creek. There's fish in there. I saw gulls going over. They saw a great blue heron in there, the group that went the day before I did my walk. It's incredible what's going on, and it's not even close to being finished yet. The plantings that are going to be replanted all along to make it a beautiful trail are in a nursery in Glen Rock. It's all native plantings. Actually, I asked for a list of these plantings, but I will have that for the next meeting. It's going to be all restored to natives and plants and things that support wildlife in our area. It's very exciting. I hope you bear with us, and the legal stuff the solicitors are working out really doesn't, of course we have to do the parking lot properly, but Land Studies has already done the design for the walkway that's going to connect from the parking lot over to the trail. So that's going to be a trailhead parking lot, and it's going to connect over to the rail trail. So there's already been money spent on the design for that. And maybe I don't know if you want to see that to the planning commission, but I don't know how to get those plans to you. So I will stop because I know we're short of time, and I will stay behind for any questions. Thank you.
As well, hand it to John.
Thank you, Peg.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Who's on the railroad, I would be Jackson.
John Johnston, 790 Mangus Mills Road. I am the vice chairman of the Park and Recreation Board, but as tonight I'm serving as chairman due to the resignation of Tara Wenzel. We're sorry to hear her leave. And we also want to welcome Vicki Senate as a new board member for the Park and Recreation. What's going to need to happen on August 20th, our meeting, our next meeting, we're gonna have a reorganization meeting, have to select a chairman, and whatever else might happen, we may need to select a vice president or or a new secretary. So that's going to be the main focus point of that meeting. We have set some short-term goals that the committee members have agreed upon, and they are to repair and maintain maintenance of the park. Areas of concern or areas of focus will be the baseball field, concession stand. I don't know how many people realize it's been vandalized and we need to do something with that. We're also going to be addressing parking, especially for the 90-foot baseball field. Parking is bad there. Would also like to take a look at the basketball court and have that possibly refinished. And probably the most important thing, so we're not violating anything, is the ADA Handicap Accessible Act that we need to get working upon to make all our areas handicap accessible. And finally, I want to thank the Heidelberg Park 501c3 for their cooperation with the rec board in helping, basically right now, going to be raising money and funding our short-term goals. After that, we plan to do some major grant writing, and basically the best grant writing is with the DCNR, Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. So whatever money we can get from them, we have to match it somehow, whether it's from our charity or whether it's from the board. But that is my report, and I want to say that the committee that is intact now has been acting very positive, and we are going to make a difference in our parks in this community. So whatever else is going on behind, that's not going to be affecting us. We're going to be moving forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Make a motion to accept Vicki Senef's resignation as alternate to the rec board.
Second.
Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes. Make the motion to accept with regret the resignation of Tara Wenzel to the rec board.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, discussion of park rules and regulation changes to ordinance 2004-02. This was left over from last month.
This is what you said to put on the agenda, they gave you a list, and you were going to look at the current ordinance, to see if you wanted to incorporate
Okay. I make a motion, we table that and make sure that that aligns with what the, newly organized, board would like.
Well, but the rules and regs were passed by the board already.
Yeah, yeah, but were they were passed, or? Okay,
They were voted on and passed, right? Yeah, that's what I thought.
okay, alright, then I rescind my motion. So I guess there is no discussion.
You wanna authorize the solicitor to go
Yeah.
ahead and?
Yep, do you make that motion, Paul?
I do. I'm authorizing the solicitor to make changes to the rules and regulations that are in the, rec park board ordinance, the rec park ordinance based on, the recommendations from the rec park board.
I'll second that motion. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes.
If I can clarify, it's this document that has 14 rules. This?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. It's coming back to me now. All right, in the interest of trying to get through this meeting, I'll extend our hard stop. We're so close to the end here. Water company, item number 14, second quarter water bills were due on June 30th, one delinquent account. And we're up to the solicitor.
The Board of Supervisors conducted an executive session tonight under, thank you, from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock p.m. under section 708A1 of the Sunshine Act to discuss personnel matters involving current and prospective township employees. Second item is a motion. I can't make the motion, but it's establishing guidelines for township boards and committees and providing reports.
I make that motion.
I'll second that motion. Any further discussion from the supervisors? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes.
I'll also make a motion to approve resolution 2411, revising resolution 2407 regarding the ad hoc advisory water committee.
Second that motion. Any further discussion with the supervisors? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion to approve amendments to the amended appointment agreement with the township manager. Oh boy, okay. And this was brought up from last month. We authorized the solicitor to bring this, or to do this. I'll make that motion.
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those
No.
opposed? The ayes, 1 no, motion passes. Mr. Chairman, anything?
No items, thank you.
Should have let everybody know at the beginning of the meeting, Tim's voice isn't very good for talking tonight, so that's why I'm emceeing. Down to me, motion to appoint 3 members to the ad hoc advisory water committee for a 1-year term for the following. From the following. So we have Heather Olin, Alan Miller, Travis Lockman, and I see a 4th name there now, Meg Powell.
Well, I believe the changes we just voted on just removed the requirement that one be a supervisor. So we still have the requirements that one be a customer and the other be knowledgeable in municipal water systems.
Others are customer.
And Alan Miller's the knowledgeable citizen.
So the question is, Travis, are you still interested since you got plenty to do with the planning? Okay. How do we wanna do this, guys?
I make a motion that the three people appointed to the ad hoc advisory water committee be Heather Autland to satisfy the requirement of a customer, Alan Miller to satisfy the requirement of a knowledgeable person in municipal water systems, and Travis Lockman as the third member.
Looking for a second.
Second.
Any further discussion with the supervisors? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion passes. That's it, we're through this thing. With the no old business, no new business, upcoming meetings. Planning Commission, August 14th, 6 p.m. has been canceled. Rec Board, August 20th, 6 p.m. That's at the Township Building. Zoning Hearing Board, canceled. That was going to be August 28th.
May I suggest that the planning commission meet, since we just referred something to them about the parking lot?
Okay, Travis?
I think we still have plenty of time if we know what we're gonna be looking at, if there's, is there any kind of a plan to be reviewed yet?
It's in, I don't know about the parking lot, there's a plan for the parking lot, when the parking lot's developed, how it would get over to the rail trail.
Yeah, that's
But
the
I don't
other
have
issue is
access-
the bridge.
I don't have access to that, and you need somebody from the authority to make the presentation to the planning commission. That's too short of a time frame to pull that together. Gwen's
Okay.
she's on vacation.
Yeah.
We need to communicate
With
with her.
September hopefully September they
I
can
think
have
so.
something pulled together. Okay.
All right, thank you.
And, our next regularly scheduled meeting will be here, September 4th at 6 p.m. Item number 20, just need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second, all those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.